All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Leisrealtalk. I'm Lei. Happy weekend. Hope everyone is having is enjoying their weekend. All right. Two major events happened last week. One is Elon Musk, his visit to China, and the other is the PLA's jet's dangerous interception of a U.S. spy plane. And those two incidents seem to be isolated, but the more I look at them, the more I research around them, the more they're linked. So tonight we'll talk about, first of all, through illustrating Elon Musk's trip to China, I will talk about CCP's overall strategy to manage the Sino-US relations or US-China tensions. And then we'll talk about the burning question. Why does the PLA Air Force engage in mid-air aggressions like the one we saw last week? And then last but not least, the common mistake smart people like Elon Musk make when it comes to China. So those are the three questions we will address tonight. All right, so we'll first talk about what was Elon Musk's trip like to China like. So he returned on June 1st. It was a 2-day trip. It was across 3 days, three calendar days, but only 44 hours. And it's his 10th visit to China. But this one got a lot of attention. His trip to China was kept a secret from start to finish, only with very little information made public. But before his trip, he sent a tweet in both English and Chinese declaring China's space program is far more advanced than most people realize. And I have a picture of that. And hold on, let me go back. Here we go. So China Daily, seized the opportunity and made best use of that publicity. But here's Elon Musk's tweet before he left for China. Actually, it was right before he left for China. So he spent only 44 hours in China and met 3 ministers and 1 Politburo Standing Committee member. On the day of his arrival, Foreign Minister Qin Gang met him. And a few months ago, the two had met in Tesla's California Gigafactory, and then Elon Musk took Qin Gang. Qin was the China's ambassador to the U.S. at the time. So Musk took him on a Tesla ride at the time. That was only a few months ago. So the two met, and Qin Gang was quick to issue an official announcement quoting Elon Musk's remarks that China and the United States are like Siamese twins, and that he opposed to decoupling. Well, this is according to the Chinese statement. The next day, he met with the Minister of Industry, and it's called the Minister of Industry and Information Technology, MIIT, at noon. And then at about 5:30 in the afternoon, he met with the Minister of Commerce. In addition to meeting the 3 ministers, Reuters said that he was secretly summoned by Vice Premier and Politburo Standing Committee member Ding Xuexiang. It's Ding's first meeting with a major Western CEO. It was said that Tesla had originally sought to arrange a meeting between Musk and the new Premier Li Qiang, who Musk had known previously when Li was the party secretary of Shanghai. But Beijing didn't let Elon Musk meet the new premier, but only the vice premier. So Elon was important, but not that important, I guess. And on the day of his arrival, he was invited to a dinner by the chairman of the EV battery giant, Ningde Times. And here we're at this private club. The dinner was held at an exclusive Beijing club called Huafu Hui. The dinner's theme is horse extraordinary. Um, I have actually the menu. Oh, here are the two executives entering the venue to attend the dinner. Maybe I can make this bigger. And then this is said to be the dining room. I'm not sure if this is the exact room where they dine, but this was a picture posted one of the um, from the Chinese media. And here is the menu. It was a 16-course banquet. The food is very interesting. I got hungry looking at this menu. But the theme is horse extraordinary. Okay, well, Elon Musk's last name is translated into Chinese as horse, and E is his first initial. So they adopted the word extraordinary. So horse extraordinary was the theme of the dinner. I don't know if you can read the small font, but it was all nice praises. You know, they were singing praises to Musk. The dinner lasted 3 hours, and then immediately the tags, what Elon Musk ate on his first day in Beijing, surged on Chinese social media. And according to incomplete statistics, by the following day, the total number of views on topics related to Elon Musk exceeded 170 million. So that's within a day. And he was endearingly called Big Brother Ma on the Chinese internet. So, and this was, I want to show you this picture. This was a picture. This was the last time when Elon Musk went to China. And look at where he dined. He dined in a local restaurant that does not seem exclusive at all. So people say, people in China say, what a difference. Look at his menu now and look at where he ate last time. But anyways, he he was called Big Brother Ma, and some call him a civilian ambassador between China and the US. We know, the CCP algorithm is obviously behind this, right? All right, so Elon Musk was trending in China so much that some people went to the same private club to order the same dinner that he ate the day before. And then on day 3, he went to Shanghai to his gigafactory, where he treated his entire staff to a burger. And Tesla's head of public affairs in China posted a photo of Musk in Shanghai with his employees at the factory with the text, "Thanks for all the support, a very rewarding day, and it's a great day." Now, when he was in China, JP Morgan's CEO, Jamie Dimon, and Starbucks CEO were also in China for a visit, but they hardly got any publicity and not anything near a warm welcome. When you compare Elon Musk's visit to Apple's CEO Tim Cook and Pfizer's CEO's visit to China in March, those two guys were completely unrecognizable by Chinese media or social media by comparison. So the question is, why does Beijing, we know Beijing, want to please Elon Musk, but what does Beijing want from him? Like, what exactly does Beijing want from him? Well, first of all, he has 4 technologies or platforms that Beijing either covets or is seriously concerned with. Starlink, which allowed Ukrainians access internet during the war, can allow the Chinese to access the internet, bypassing the CCP's firewall. That's a serious concern, right, for Beijing. And then Twitter, which has become the platform that the voiceless mainland Chinese are being heard, because there's so many anything that's breaking in China, like, you would instantaneously find them on Twitter. So it is really it has become the platform if you want to know what's happening in China. So again, that's also of great concern to the CCP. Other than that, advanced rocket technology and self-driving technology are also of great interest to them. So if you have something that Beijing wants or fears, then they will be nice to you, right? You can pretty much figure out what Beijing is interested in through the mainland Chinese media. It has openly leaked, quote unquote, leaked the news that Elon Musk may have three major moves in the near future. One, launch the new Model 3, obviously in China. And two, build the Megapack energy storage gigafactory in Shanghai. And three, introduce fully autonomous driving vehicles to mainland China. Now, those are what the CCP media said. We don't know if that's indeed what Elon Musk has said or that's part of his plan. But so far, Musk has remained silent and has not made any official statements about the trip. He obviously didn't bring his cell phone with him because most people concerned about security wouldn't bring their computer or cell phones to China. He has to be aware of CCP's intention to use him as a poster child to say, look, the world's richest man has given us a vote of confidence, and therefore decoupling is unpopular. This is obviously Beijing's number one priority, and people clearly see it. What people don't see is that Elon Musk is part of CCP's overall strategy to handle the ever intense Sino-US relations. The question what Beijing wants from Elon Musk is tied to Beijing's effort to break out of its geopolitical crisis. It's the old tactic of separating politics from economics. It's basically a tactic to separate the political and business communities and treat them separately. On one hand, Beijing plays tough with the American politicians, and also Beijing has engaged. Beijing has engaged in an ongoing confrontation since the spy balloon the spy balloon incident has broken out, right? So it wants to play tough with the politicians. At the same time, Beijing is being nice to key business leaders who it thinks can help the regime make a difference. So it's basically a divide and conquer tactic. One example I can give you is in 1989 or in the early 1990s, Deng Xiaoping used it after the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre. At the time, Deng faced a tough international boycott from the West, mostly from the West. He adopted this tactic by separating politics from economic affairs and used the Chinese market and the potential profits as bait to entice multinational companies, business leaders, and basically the business community. And Deng was successful in breaking away from the geopolitical predicament for him at the time. So Beijing is using the same old trick again. Please note, hard on politicians and nice to business leaders is not a business-friendly pro-multinational company policy. It's using Western business communities' desire to make money in China to serve Beijing's political ambitions. Everything is politically motivated. It may not have. People can't assume that, oh, maybe that's a sign that Beijing now all of a sudden is interested in engaging the Western business communities. The ultimate goal is its political ambitions. So from their perspective, from the CCP leaders' perspective, it's much easier to influence corporate CEOs whose goal is profit than to influence government officials whose goal is getting votes, right? So Xi Jinping is resorting to this good old tactic in his present predicament because it had worked for his predecessors before. This explains why Beijing warmly welcomed Elon Musk with great fanfare, um, calling him Big Brother Ma, and why China's Minister of Commerce um, took the initiative to come to the U.S. to meet with his American counterpart, right? Because both are economic affairs. But at the same time, Beijing rejected Tony Blinken's visit to Beijing. I should say Xi Jinping rejected Tony Blinken's visit to Beijing, refused a dialogue between the two defense ministers at the Shangri-La Asian Security Summit in Singapore, and even provoked the U.S. Air Forces in South China Sea when the PLA fighter jets, with PLA fighter jets' aggressive behavior. So you see how there is a pattern. If it's military politician, it plays tough with you. But when it's business, and it's selective business, not everyone, because the goal is for political leverage. It's not it's not necessary for business leverage. So it focuses on a few business leaders that they think can play a role politically, right? So so that's why there is that drastic difference. So I just spelled out for you the CCP's overall strategy to manage the Sino-US relations and why Elon Musk's visit fits into that. Now let's talk about the PLA's fighter jet incident because it's very eye-opening. On May 26, a Chinese fighter jet performed an unnecessarily aggressive maneuver during an intercept over the South China Sea. I actually have an image for that. The Chinese jet passed directly in front of the nose of a U.S. Air Force plane in international airspace, and the two jets were only 400 feet or about 122 meters apart, so they were very close. But the PLA's unprofessional behavior or aggressive behavior has been quite frequent. And on December 21st last year, that was only less than 6 months ago, it was the same thing. A U.S. Air Force spy plane, recon aircraft, when it was in international airspace, again also in the South China Sea, was approached by a Chinese Navy jet, J-11 fighter jet. The wings of the two jets were less than 10 feet apart. That's 3 meters. And the noses were only 20 feet or 6 meters apart, and causing the U.S. military plane to take an evasive action. And the Americans said that the Chinese intercept could have caused an air collision. So that brings us the question, why is the Chinese Communist Party so keen on engaging in such dangerous and unsafe acts? Does it want to provoke a war? Like, what does it want? The answer is it allows them to get what it wants, and they have nothing to lose. But you may say, well, isn't the CCP leader concerned with accidents and, inadvertently starting a war with the US? Well, based on its past experience, the CCP thinks it can control the situation. Otherwise, it wouldn't do this. The biggest incident was the 2001 collision between the US and the Chinese military aircraft, because during that incident, there was actually a collision. And if you review the entire incident, the CCP has benefited tremendously from that incident and has learned a lot. So let me tell you about the 2001 incident. So here are the pictures of the two planes from 2001. So one we have a U.S. Navy EP-3 reconnaissance aircraft, which was on patrol over the South China Sea, and it was intercepted by two Chinese fighter jets. It was J-8, J-8 at the time, and one collided with it with the U.S. Navy aircraft. It forced the U.S. plane to land on the Hainan Island without getting the Chinese authorities' approval. But the U.S. airplane was heavily damaged. The American crew didn't have enough time to completely destroy equipment and sensitive data on the plane before the Chinese military personnel pointed guns at them through the windows. The 24 Americans on board were detained and interrogated at all hours, and so the Americans suffered from lack of sleep. They were released after 10 days after the US government sent a letter of, it's called the letter of two sorries, because the Americans used the word sorry twice, and the Americans did not recognize that letter as a letter of apology, but the Chinese accepted as an apology. So it's called a letter of two sorries. The US wanted to send engineers to repair the aircraft, but the Chinese refused. What the Chinese said is, we want to dismantle the aircraft and ship it to you. So the Chinese disassembled the aircraft into pieces. But by doing this, the CCP obtained some military technology information. And the biggest irony was that the United States government paid the Chinese for dismantling its aircraft. I just thought it's such irony. The Chinese media confirmed that the Chinese pilot involved in the collision was ejected with his parachute. Now, China declared him missing, and he was presumably dead. President Bush, George W. Bush, sent a letter of condolences to his widow. Now, there are Chinese reports that said that the pilot was rescued alive. But the CCP needed him to die because the incident had to become a major geopolitical crisis, so the CCP can bargain with the United States. We don't know if it's true or not, but I've seen quite a number of reports talking about this. The CCP is totally capable of committing such a crime. So although we cannot confirm it, it's totally capable. So the 2001 collision occurred 10 weeks after George W. Bush's inauguration. It was his first major foreign policy crisis. Judging by how strongly the Chinese reacted, it seems that, to me, it's just like the Chinese was so demanding, so strong, and the US government pretty much just gave up. And the way the American soldiers were treated, and just the entire incident was just so, I think, so embarrassing for the Americans. The American government appeared so weak. But on the other hand, the Chinese appeared so strong. Judging by how strongly they reacted and negotiated, I wouldn't be surprised if someone tells me that this incident was designed by the CCP to test George W. Bush's determination and ability in confronting the CCP. Because Beijing likes to do this sort of testing when a new US president is elected. Remember the lecturing? I sometimes call it the temper tantrum that Wang Yi and Yang Jiechi gave Tony Blinken in Alaska in March of 2021, right? 8 weeks, was it 8 weeks or maybe less than 8 weeks after Joe Biden was elected. It was the same thing. It was test to see how it was a stress test to see how Joe Biden reacts to that kind of a stress. So in hindsight, the CCP got away with an egregious act in 2001 from the collision. They obtained military intelligence from the plane. They obtained some military technology by dismantling the aircraft. They got an apology from the Americans, and they even got Americans to pay for their expenses. The Americans should have learned from that lesson, but did they? I doubt it. So here's my analogy, okay? When you treat a ruffian or a scoundrel like a gentleman, you can't blame others when you're bullied or abused by him. Because the Americans were a giant and the CCP was a tiny ruffian, the Americans didn't care much. And this has been a mistake that the American elites or smart Americans often make. That's why they're often fooled by the CCP. And this includes Elon Musk. People like Elon Musk think they're smart and therefore will not fall into the CCP's trap. They are smart. There's no question about that. And they outsmart the CCP many times. But the Communist Party is bad and it plays dirty. Judging just by that 2001 collision incident, you could tell they can play dirty. And Elon Musk cannot play as dirty as the CCP does. And CCP's definition of dirtiness has no limit. And that's why many American elites, many smart Americans, including the Wall Street CEOs like Jamie Dimon, even the two Bushes, haven't been effective in confronting the rogue CCP regime. I'll give you another example. The 1988 US-Soviet Black Sea ship collision, right, shocked the world and had a significant impact on the relations of the two countries during Cold War. To avoid such maritime crisis, the United States and Soviet Union signed an agreement on the prevention of dangerous military actions in the following year. That was 1989. And the agreement, it was called what? It was called the Agreement on the Prevention of Dangerous Military Actions and the Agreement on the Non-Harmful Passage of Territorial Waters. So why didn't the US and China sign similar agreements after the 2001 collision to prevent similar accidents from happening? And in fact, they are still happening. My argument is, if the United States and the Soviets were able to reach consensus during the Cold War, why couldn't the United States and China, which were friendly up until this point, right? They were friendly for decades. Why couldn't they reach similar consensus? Anyone? Well, the answer is the Chinese Communist Party is more rogue, more dangerous, more deceptive, and dirtier, and play dirtier than the Soviet Union, than the Soviets. And this also explains why the US and Soviet Union were able to reach an agreement on nuclear disarmament during the Cold War, while the Chinese Communist Party has so far rejected Americans' nuclear arms control negotiations. China has never been part of a nuclear arms agreement. So now the ruffian or the scoundrel has grown big and tall and is getting more dangerous. The best way, how do we all of a sudden the Americans woke up? How do we deal with him right now, right? The best way to deal with the ruffian is to leave him alone. Don't provoke him, but leave and run away. Decouple is the most efficient, safest way. I hope Elon Musk and the many smart Americans or smart people around the world are listening, because I think that's really a mistake that they have made for all these years, but it's time that they stop making that same mistake. All right, that's all for tonight. Let me see if people have questions for me. I really enjoyed the pictures of Elon Musk's dinner. The menu was really impressive. That was really the fun part of preparing for this live stream. I must be hungry. Let me see if people have questions for me. All right. If you send me questions, put my name or my channel's name in the beginning, in the front, so I know it's addressed to me. Questions from Nikki Nick. I'm interested in knowing if you'd be able to point me in the direction that might lead to finding information about the underground Christians inside of China. I need to think. I would I I don't have anything that come to my mind. From Anna Chambers, same question. Are there any Christians in China? Yes, there are. There are underground Christians. Are they allowed to practice Christianity? If so, are they receive word from outside? Well, there are two types of churches in China. You have the patriotic church, which is run and controlled by the CCP. The clergy takes salaries from the government. So speaking of the separation of church and state, there is none. They're basically government apparatus. So they're called the patriotic church. And then you have the underground church, where people, truly believing Jesus Christ. So, but those are the people that are being persecuted. All right, let me see. From Ferrari Guy, do you think the CCP has a program of brainwashing, a formula they apply to elites in the West? To that, I don't know that word. Sounds like an important word. What is so obvious to the rest of us? I think its program, its formula is it first does research on you. It knows you so well. That's why I think TikTok and WeChat should be banned in this country. It collects so much information about the person, about its target, or about everyone in this country, right? So it has data information, who did you talk to, what you like, they know so much about you than you know about yourself. And so they would design a package for you. It's all custom made. If you like certain type of people, they will make you make you meet one Chinese that you will be so impressed, right? That you felt, wow, what a great young person, depends on what you like, and then they will arrange experiences or things for you to discover, all based on who you are, what you like, your hobbies. And so how can you not fall into that kind of trap? It's impossible. And it's unnoticeable. You go to China, you think, wow, this is so great. And everything happens so smoothly. There was nothing is hard. You feel like everything just happened naturally. One thing flows to another, one thing leads to another. Everything happens without you noticing it. I wonder how many people can really stay conscious and say, hey, wait, this, why this is happening. So, I mean, I'm sure Elon Musk by now is very cautious. I mean, I don't think he's going to fall into that kind of trap now, but for people like him, I think it's the ego. People all believe that they're right, that they're smart. They're correct. CCP is not very smart. So yeah, I think, the two strategies. The first is, they study you, they know what you want. And the second is they play to your ego. Yeah. They know the Western capitalists want to make money. They know, and that's very easy for them. If you want money, they will create opportunities or say things that make you believe that you can make money. Yeah. So it's very hard. I The only people that could deal with CCP are people who have who really have integrity and who are very principled. They have principle, and rule is a rule. They cannot be banned. If them, so, but how many people are out there who really have that kind of principle, right? So, so it's very hard. All right, let me see if people have questions. From this Alexandro Lay, is Elon that naive? He's brilliant, and I'm sure he has a super risk management team. I think I'm not saying he's naive. He's brilliant. He is brilliant. Um, but brilliance has nothing to do with what are you going to do? You're a smart man. My analogy, you are a super smart man. You're dealing with a scoundrel. Your brilliance is a waste. Okay, your brilliance in front of a scoundrel is waste. Is a waste asset because you cannot use brilliance with a scoundrel because they play dirty. What are you going to do when they want to fight with you? What are you going to do with your brilliance? So talking brilliance in front of a scoundrel is not brilliance at all. All right. Max Shredder. Hi, Lei. I have a female friend who says Xi Jinping is a very attractive man. Do you find him attractive, man? I don't even ask myself that question. So, and I don't want to even think whether he's attractive or not. You know what I'm saying? It's not a question that I put into my mind. I think to ask myself if someone is attractive, I think is giving that person flattery. So I don't even bother with that question. All right, let me see. Wow, Jeff Ramos, thank you for your donation. Lay, the discount on cars will affect the CCP directly. Big brother, ma. Well, here's what happens with the discount. The Chinese, because Tesla cut prices, right, in China and also around the world, it put so much pressure on Chinese car makers. They were screaming. So the Chinese officials talked to Tesla. So Tesla, I think, increased the price. Or at least this is what I heard. So I think from Elon Musk's perspective, I mean, he's like, well, this is the first time he's seen people complaining or a country complaining about him cutting prices. So he was more than happy to increase price. Didn't he increase prices on some of the more expensive models lately? Um, yeah. So all right, from Tolomeo Salamanca. What region of China are you from, and what unique characteristics does it have? I'm from Shanghai originally, long time ago. And what character? They are more westernized. But they're more westernized because of the historically, Shanghai is called the Paris in the Orient. So people there, yeah, there are many local dialects that came from French or English words. But Chinese from other parts of China do not like Shanghainese precisely because of that. So when you say you are from Shanghai, um, yeah, so you could get mixed responses. From Sir Humphrey, thank you, Lei, for putting together another absorbing live stream. Thank you, sir. All right, let me see. Any other questions? Um, from Nikki Nick, okay. I would love to know if anything comes from mind about how to hear about Christian persecutions. I think there are a lot of information online. You could Google that. Okay. And let me see if I have any questions. From Ed C, do you think we should stop worshiping billionaires like Elon Musk and Bill Gates as being the smartest people? That's a very good point. Yeah. What is intelligence, right? So that brings us the question, what is intelligence? What is true brilliance? The Chinese word, I talked about this a long time ago. The Chinese word 智慧. One of my college professors in the US, he's actually a Chinese. He used to tell me, he said, Lei, don't be discouraged when you think that you're not doing that well in school. When I first came to this country, I didn't do very well academically. And so he said, he's a Chinese American. He said there are two types of intelligence. He said the Chinese word 智慧 has two parts. 智 is intelligence. 慧 is wisdom, but the wisdom has kindness, has like a kindness element to it. He said the two types of intelligence. One is smartness, and the other is wisdom based on kindness. And he said you definitely have the latter one. Um, so, and that was a great encouragement to me. So I always remember that. So that there must be a goodness in intelligence. Otherwise, it's not intelligence. You just quit. Like if you do math, maybe you just do it faster than others. Um, so that's something I learned when I was in college here in the US from my Chinese American professor. Um, all right, that seems to be all. Well, it's great to have you all. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.